What's happening, everybody? Well, it's springtime, which means that if you're growing your own cannabis, you need to save time and money. And the easiest way to do that is to get the plant DNA sex testing kit from Delta Leaf Labs. They make it really easy to take a sample from your plant. You send that into the lab, and a couple of days after they get it, you'll know whether you've got a male or a female plant. So go over to deltaleaflabs.com, order your testing kits today, and at checkout, use promo code IMGS10 to get 10% off of that order. All right, now let's get started. Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is the In My Grow Show. I'm your host, Alex, and this is episode 58. So I am back from Texas. Spent about 5 days over there. It was really cool. Saw family, saw a bunch of family. Saw an old friend also. Shout out to my buddy Ray. I've known that dude since like high school, which I'm not going to do the math, but was a while ago. The whole time I was there, I did not take any cannabis. Obviously, I didn't fly with any. And that was a bit by design. It's not that I couldn't have scored in Texas. I just really didn't put that much effort into it. Plus, I figured it was a good chance for me to, dry out, sober up, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it was about 5 days without any cannabis. So I didn't have any wild, crazy, vivid dreams come back the way people say that they do after they stop smoking. Maybe I needed to stop smoking longer than 5 days. I don't know. I did struggle to get to sleep, though. That was really obvious. And it wasn't just the time change, it was only an hour difference. It was truly, I would lay in bed just awake. Today I do not have a Predator of the Week. I will have one next time, and I believe that's going to be on the Cucamaris, if I remember my notes correctly. Later on I am going to play a conversation that I recorded with Justin Benton, who is the owner of 101cbd.org, but that's a little later. First, let's do the strain of the week, and again, I'm going to give it up to the Cinderella 99. I know I've talked about her before. She's a really heavy strain. It was the first thing that I smoked when I got back, being those 5 days sober. And man, I forgot how good she was because that thing hit me like a freight train, man. It is a sativa, so it doesn't make me really sleepy. It doesn't really, zap my energy. It's really euphoric, really uplifting. But those first 10 minutes were, I was pretty high. I gotta tell you, Took me a minute to put a thought together. So, Cinderella 99, man, pick it up if you see it. If you're new to cannabis, as Isaac Hayes used to say, just walk on by, get something lighter, because the Cinderella 99 is not for newbies. It is not for beginners. I mean, you can try it. You're an adult, you're a grown person, make your own decisions. I'm just saying. You may not enjoy it as much as I did. But anyways, Cinderella 99, strain of the week. Alright, so I want to make a quick 420 announcement. That's right, everybody. This year, 420 lands on a Saturday. Hey, do me a favor. To celebrate it properly, I want to suggest that you talk seriously about cannabis to someone who is on the fence about it. Just to kind of celebrate 420 in a positive way. And then after you have this nice long conversation with them about the positivities and the good things about cannabis and how a lot of the negative stuff that we've been hearing is just propaganda that's 100 years old. Congratulate yourself for having that conversation with that person by smoking a joint. But getting back to 420 and how it lands on a Saturday, there will be a special screening of Reefer Madness at the Alcazar Theater in Carpinteria. That is Saturday, April 20th. It's going to be put on by Cop Sun. They're going to be playing the classic 1936 propaganda film Reefer Madness. This event will include remarks by local film specialists and a Q&A with the audience. Tickets are $15 and available at thealcazar.org. For questions about the event, go to info@copsun.com. That is KOPSUN.com. Please remember, folks, there will be no cannabis products for sale at this event. Carpinteria is a smoke-free city, and the Alcazar Theater strongly enforces that ordinance. In other words, get high before you show up. Something else I wanted to mention, the quarterly cannabis workshop and networking event will be happening April 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. That is going to be at the Impact Hub, 1117 State Street in Santa Barbara. Tickets are $15 in advance, $20 at the door. There is a link in the show notes if you want to get tickets to that. And this time the speakers are going to be Rodney Medina, who is a media professional, Chelsea Satula, who is the owner of Sespe Creek Collective, Colin Dvorak from San Marcos Consulting, and Jay Higgins from H&H Environmental. So like I said, get to the show notes if you're going to buy tickets for that. All right, let's get on to the report from the Cannabis Front Line. So let's talk about New Mexico. Governor Grisham has signed legislation into law decriminalizing the possession of personal use amounts of cannabis. Senate Bill 323 takes effect July 1st, 2019, which reduces first-time penalties for possession of up to half an ounce of cannabis from a criminal misdemeanor, punishable by 15 days in jail, to a penalty assessment punishable by a $50, that is 50, by a $50 fine. And it also says subsequent offenses or in situations where the defendant possesses greater amounts of marijuana will remain punishable by the possibility of jail time. I think that's great news for New Mexico to decriminalize, but I encourage everybody over there to take it a little step further, just make it legal. Why do you want people in the system? Okay, I get it. It may be this whole generating revenue kind of thing, getting money for the town or the state. But come on, man. Half an ounce of weed? Come on, just legalize it. Just legalize it. What are you waiting for? You can tax it easier if you legalize it. You get more revenue. Think about it. Plus, Bob Marley wrote a really great song about it, too. All right, anyways. Next in Guam, Governor Leon Guerrero signed legislation legalizing the personal possession of marijuana by adults and establishing regulations governing the plant's commercial production and retail sale. And Guam is a U.S. territory. That means that we do not need a passport to vacation in Guam, and now that cannabis is legal, just one more great reason to go to Guam. It goes on to say the Cannabis Industry Act permits those ages 21 and older to legally possess and transfer up to 1 ounce of marijuana flower, or 8 grams of concentrated cannabis. The measure, which took immediate effect, also permits adults to privately cultivate up to 6 cannabis plants. No more than 3 mature plants. Ooh, man, you're going to have to time that out. Anyways, it says 6 plants, no more than 3 mature, in an enclosed locked space. Doesn't say it has to be indoors, just enclosed and locked. So like a locked greenhouse maybe? In Guam, it's got to get hot, right? Okay, public consumption of cannabis will remain a violation of the law. Ooh, we need to change our thinking there, man. If we're going to legalize it, we also need to find spaces for people to actually use it outside, like in a bar. I mean, we do it for alcohol. Why can't we regulate it for cannabis? And it ends by saying Guam joins the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands as the second U.S. territory to legislatively enact adult-use marijuana legalization. All right, I like that. And I got both of those stories from the Normal website. That is normal.org. Go over there, get informed, become a member. So like I said earlier, I've got a conversation that I recorded with Justin Benton, who is the owner of 101cbd.org. I ran into him a few weeks ago and we started talking, and he told me about his cannabis story, which I thought was really cool and I wanted to share with you guys. He does own a company that does sell CBD oil. He was cool enough to take some time and talk to me, went down to his shop. He gave me a CBD oil blend called Chill X. I've only been taking it for about 2 or 3 days, so I'm not really sure how it's working on me, but I'll let you know next week to see how it's going. But anyways, give me a few seconds and I'll put that up for you guys. Alright, I'll be right back.
Say it seems there's trouble every time I speak my mind.
Well, everybody, today I've got with me Justin Benton, and he is the owner of 101cbd.org. Justin, brother, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Before we get into anything, do me a favor. Tell everybody what 101cbd.org is.
Well, thanks for that. 101cbd.org. We started in 2014, and the history of how we started was my son was diagnosed on the spectrum. There's a lot of different ailments. Some call it autism, and he was diagnosed when he was 2.5 years old, and we knew when that happens as a parent, you obviously, it's quite a shock to the system. And, there can be some denial, and then you look for answers to protect your son and do anything you can. So, in our research, of trying to figure out, what is autism, what is being on the spectrum, we had a history in, diet and nutrition and health, and cannabis, and just happened to be the way that we were raised and grew up and just what we familiarized ourselves with. And in that search, we found the story of Charlotte Figi out of Colorado. And her story obviously was the one back in 2013 where she was having many seizures, epilepsy, up to 300 a day, and was in hospice, was not going to make it. And they ran across some CBD oil from the Stanley brothers in Colorado, who ironically were trying to make a plant with as high as possible THC, and they ended up making a plant with as high as possible of CBD. And from that, they there's been some studies out of Israel where all the CBD research came from, Dr. Meshulam, and they gave her some, and wouldn't you know, lo and behold, she went from 300 a day to, 1 a day, or 1 a week. And as far as I know, she's not having really any at all these days. So when we saw that, obviously the science made sense. So, what did it do? Obviously there was something in the brain that was working. So we went out and tried the same product that she tried, and, didn't have success, but didn't give up. Wanted to know more about the research. So we dug deeper. And when we dug deeper, we found the, CBDA. So CBDA is the acidic precursor to CBD. So basically it's the raw form of CBD, like going and biting a plant. And so, it made sense to me on a very basic level, just like everything we do when we shop at the farmer's market, raw, local, organic. Why not try it with cannabis? So I grew a plant, very high in CBD, cold pressed it myself. I remember it vividly. We were at a pumpkin patch, the Underwood Farms. My son was having a terrible time. He was upset. He was under the bench, just, kind of a tantrum, but just was miserable. And I had some that I had made earlier that day, put it under his tongue, just put it in his mouth. And within 5 minutes, he was just a happy kid picking pumpkins, just happy, laughing, doing his thing, like not a care in the world. And that was when we said, okay, finally, we're on to something. Now we also do, dairy-free, gluten-free, organic, raw juicing, no processed foods, the whole nine, because it's all about getting the body in a healthy balance and homeostasis. And that's what we have found through our research in the 5 years since then. The more we investigate and learn about the powers of CBD and CBDA and the raw cannabinoids and the true full spectrum of the plant, we're at the tip of the iceberg of really understanding how our bodies communicate and use these, cannabinoids. So we didn't start a company. We just had CBD come into our lives, and my son, happy to report, is in school with his sisters. He's hitting all of his normal markers, and he's just a happy kid. And through doing all the right things and CBD kind of being the glue that held everything together, he's I don't want to use the word cured, but he's going to live whatever a normal life is. He's on that path. So with that formula, that story was shared. And before I knew it, I was making, 10, 20, 30 bottles of CBD for people around Ventura County that had pain, anxiety, sleep issues. And at some point I was like, okay, I'm starting to spend a lot of time doing this. I probably need to start charging for it. And that was the beginning of 101cbd.org.
So do you mind me asking, do you know what the strain was that you grew the first time?
Suzy Q, yeah.
Oh,
so
no kidding.
SUZYQ.
Yeah.
Is the name. You can find it on Leafly. I actually got the clones from a place called Bark, BARC in Beverly Hills. And they think they got it from Midnight Farms, which is a clone producing company. With all the new law changes, things got a little weird. I'm not sure how they're packaging clones or if they're even doing it anymore in LA, but I did a lot of research. I grew ACDC. I grew Suzy Q. I've grown And a lot of things, and I've never been a big THC guy. I was in college and had a good time, but then the anxiety bug kind of got me on that thing, and so that journey was over. And until I found CBD, I kind of gave up on the plant. But when I first tried my own oils and understood the power of raw CBD, that was when the first time I was like anxious driving through LA, and I tried some myself, and I just had that kind of like that 5-minute chill, like reset button. And then I was like, okay, I get it. This is what I was looking for. I wanted something to take the edge off, but not get me, a little too amped up.
So then you started CBD 101.
Yep.
Which is just CBD oil. Mm-hmm. Comes in a couple of different flavors.
We have some different flavors. Peppermint is popular. Butterscotch is popular. Citrus and vanilla.
Butterscotch, really?
Yeah, believe it or not, that's my favorite flavor.
Right.
But the thing is, because our plant is raw, it's like a wheatgrass shot, right? I mean, some people love wheatgrass.
So now when you say raw, that means that's an actual CBDA oil?
Mm-hmm. That is our bread and butter. So I just got back from NOCO as we were talking, and we can go as far down that road as you want because that's my life. But about 5% of the industry, and I mean the industry was there. And if you go to our website, you'll see some of the interviews I did with some people. About 5%, I would estimate, knew about raw CBD. And basically, there's a way that you extract it, which is called subcritical extraction through CO2 that keeps the temperatures low and the pressures low, that allow you to not damage or heat up or decarboxylate the plant. So basically, it's like a cold press.
Right, because if you heat it up, that acid molecule just evaporates off and it turns just into CBD.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so, and the funny thing was, the story that I like to tell is the old version of, every year for Christmas, the mom serves the ham, but she cuts off the rind, the end of the ham. And one year the daughter asked the mom, well, why do you cut the ham that way before, you serve it or whatever? Or every year the ham's missing that end part. And then she goes, I don't know. Let me ask my mom. And then she asked her mom. And then her mom says, well, I don't know. Let me ask my mom. And so she asked her mom. And then her mom says, well, the ham never fit in the pan, so I had to cut that end off. And so with cannabis, we've always known that if you ate raw marijuana, which is THCA, you wouldn't get high. Just like in Cheech and Chong and Up in Smoke, when the cop pulls him over and Tommy Chong's woofing down all the weed, well, you wouldn't get high on that acid trip that he showed. Same thing with cannabis. You have to decarboxylate that THCA to turn it into THC, to turn it into a psychoactive. Whereas with CBD, you never needed to heat it. So if you're just looking for the medicinal qualities of the cannabinoid profile, there's 113 roughly cannabinoids in the plant. Once you burn the plant, decarboxylate it, you burn about half of them off. They're gone. Right. Some of them converted to CBD. Some of them have gone from like THC to CBN. You're messing with the composition. And when you think about, our bodies and how we consume things, it's obvious that when you eat things that are raw, our bodies obviously know what to do with them. So I invited you on because I wanted to talk with you about the farm bill that passed earlier this year. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, I want to go over just a couple of basic questions that you probably get every day from people who are new to cannabis or new to CBD. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's take the probably most asked one is it going to get you high? No. So as we just discussed, the only real psychoactive cannabinoid or cannabinoid in the plant is THC. Some might say CBN, but actually, if you have an old bag of marijuana floating around and leave an old bag floating around, the THC can actually turn into the CBN, which does help with sleep. But so let's just say THC is really the only psychoactive property in the cannabis plant. So once you eliminate the THC, or you grow a plant that has extremely high CBD, anywhere from 4% to 15% CBD, and you grow a certified seed that has less than 0.03%, which is the federal regulations, THC, and if you keep it raw, like we do, then you never activate even that little fraction of the THC, you don't get high. CBDs in broccoli, kale, breast milk, it's just a part of healthy living. And we've been having CBD since we were kids, since we were babies, and since we went shopping at the Whole Foods or your local organic farmers market. So now, just to clarify, if anything's
if any CBD oil is over that 0.3% of THC, that's now considered the drug form of cannabis, right?
Correct. So if you, and you have to check with lab test results. We post ours on our website, and that's the first thing you should always do is make sure you have lab tested results. You have to keep the plant as it grows and as it is extracted below 0.03% THC. That is the federal law for it to be considered hemp, which hemp is just another name for a CBD plant, which is another name for cannabis. Again, a lot of confusion about hemp and marijuana is basically hemp is a high CBD plant with very little to no THC. There's actually a seed I've been informed that actually has 0 THC in it. I'll do a little more digging on that. But then marijuana is a slang term that was made up for cannabis and, back in the early 1900s. And so they're both cannabis. One just happens to have really high THC, and that's what we know as marijuana. And the other one's cannabis. It's just really high in CBD and low on THC, and we know it as hemp.
Then since it isn't activated then.
Yeah.
So that it's not going to show up on a drug test.
So, and we get that question too. You're giving us all the softballs here that we run into.
You know what? I'm trying to get the basics for people to introduce themselves, because also if there's older people in the audience, they don't want to go and ask their nephew about it.
Exactly.
So if I'm just covering just the basics,
which is good. It's good. I'm glad.
And that way you can tell your client, hey, go listen to this.
Exactly.
You don't have to repeat it. Just repeat it again.
Exactly. So, so the THC level, it has to be less than 0.03. You're going to get more than 0.03 THC at a stoplight when you see those big clouds come out of somebody's car next year, or certainly if you go to a concert. So there's always a threshold on any type of employment drug screen. Most of them are somewhere around, I believe, like 0.05 milligrams or 0.05 milliliters. And because now obviously we live in this world where, people are walking down the street smoking marijuana. There's secondhand smoke. THC is a part of our, air. And so you can't just immediately have 0 threshold. Otherwise, we'd all be failing tests all the time. So if there's a trace element, there's a threshold. We've never had anybody have test positive on an employment drug screen. We've tested ourselves, our employees, just to see, because the levels are so small and they're not heated up. There is to this point never been someone who's ever failed a drug test.
And that's really the big difference between the cannabis oil that's bought in a cannabis dispensary and CBD oil, is that THC count.
Yeah, so if you buy a CBD oil, if you will, with a ratio of, let's say, 1-to-1, which is a pretty common ratio, which is 1 part THC and 1 part CBD, chances are if you were taking an employment drug test the next day or, the next week after you've taken some, I might worry about it.
It'd show up high. More than likely it's going to come up. Yeah. I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take the test.
Yeah. I might call in sick that day. So, yes, 1-to-1 is ratio. Our ratio, if you look at it, because ours is right now, if you look at our lab test on our website, it's 0.005. So our ratio technically would be like 200-to-1, right? And because it's not decarboxylated or heated up, that, no one's looking for THCA, and no one's testing for CBD, because CBD's in our bodies all the time anyways. We'd all fail. So the only thing they're looking for is heated up THC Delta 9, which is just THC. And our product and any product that shows the lab results on their website for you, you should be feel confident that you're fine.
So on the dosage question, somebody new comes up and says, well, how much do I need? How much, what do you ask them? What kind of pain do you have? Or you just tell them it's a sliding scale?
So everyone's different. Everyone's body's different. Everyone's receptors are different. If you're an adult, over the age of obviously 18, and you're more than 100 pounds, we recommend starting between 5 and 10 milligrams of raw CBD oil, which is what we provide, raw CBD. So the reason I say raw is because it's raw and it is powerful, because our bodies know exactly how to interpret and allow it to, work within our system.
So why? Is that the main choice? Why you chose just the raw CBDA instead of just focusing on the, already decarboxylated or the CBD without it?
So the main thing for us was obviously, again, so I didn't like hop in the industry and say, how can we be different and the best? And like, let's get a bunch of research and scientists. What I did was I had to figure out a way to heal my son and try every possible road. I tried decarboxylated CBD and it didn't work. So I didn't see the results.
Didn't work at all for his condition.
Didn't see any result. Didn't see any change
Oh, wow.
in his state. So, and fortunately I didn't give up, and I continued to do the homework because I knew if someone went from 300 seizures in a day to 1 or less than 1 in a week, there's something going on there. And when your son or your child is battling an ailment like that, you will try anything and everything. And so we did. So we continued to press further on that, cannabis world. There is no way we're ahead of the curve, my man. There's research coming out now on CBDA, and people are calling full spectrum CBD without the 50 odd, cannabinoids full spectrum, when in all actuality, it truly isn't.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, as far as the full spectrum part. Now, that just means that there's more, there's something else in the oil than just CBD. There's other cannabinoids, right? Meaning that because all cannabinoids work together, it's like a little symphony musical.
Sure.
It all comes together. If you isolate them, they may work, but not as well or not as long.
Yeah.
Or they just may not work on that condition. Mm-hmm. So when people say full spectrum, what we're imagining is that it's got all the other cannabinoids, or at least more than 2.
Correct. So, and that's the thing. And I'm telling you, we can date stamp this interview and come back to it in 3 years, and there is going to be a different definition of full spectrum. So there's what's called broad spectrum and full spectrum. And right now, people are getting away with saying full spectrum when it has 5 or 6 cannabinoids. Where, to me, full spectrum is like a spectrum of light. It means you have all the cannabinoids. So that is what we are in pursuit of.
Well, what do you consider a full spectrum?
Every single cannabinoid.
Which is 113.
113. That's full spectrum. That's what we're after. That's our pursuit. So full spectrum means full spectrum. If you're not full spectrum, then you're broad spectrum. And we'll be the ones that'll be pushing that in research. There's studies in UCLA right now that are coming out about raw, full spectrum CBD, and we'll continue to push.
Well, because it's really interesting because there's a lot of different, okay, so there's a lot of shit on the internet.
Yes,
Literally,
there is. Some of it's good, some of it's accurate, some of it's not.
Some of it's great.
Yeah.
But you still got to wade through a whole bunch of bullshit.
Yep.
You still got to get through it all.
Yep.
And just as many, there's a whole bunch of CBD companies out there too on the internet.
Yep.
And a lot of them are always touting full spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And not just full spectrum, but they say, full of phytocannabinoids.
Yep.
Which means that those cannabinoids coming from other plants, not necessarily either the cannabis or the hemp plant itself. It's just coming from plant, because that's what phyto means. It comes from plants.
Yep.
So do you just go down and read the ingredient list and see what?
Yeah. So you got to whoever you go with. Look, if someone is really going to that extent to put extra cannabinoids from other plants, it's better than eliminating cannabinoids. Put it that way. But again, for us, our endocannabinoid system and the cannabis plant, I look at us like DNA matches. And we were like, we're brothers from another mother, right? So the plant's out there in the wild, and we became the humans, and this thing became the plant, the cannabis plant. Our bodies and this plant communicate and like they were meant to be. Just DNA match is the way I look at it. So as many of the cannabinoids as you can get in your system and your endocannabinoid system, the better it communicates, the better it can see what's wrong, the more it can heal. So to me, what we would love to gravitate towards, which we will in the future, is hemp shakes, man. Hemp salads. You know what I mean? Just eat the plant, consume the plant in its rawest, purest form. Just like we eat kale, it's a superfood. Oh yeah, by the way, it has CBD in it.
So wait, let me stop you right there because you touched on something I wanted to talk about. Now, there is a difference between CBD oil and the kind of oil that's derived from pressing hemp seeds.
Correct. Very big difference, yeah. And so the obvious thing is one is from hemp seed oil, which you can buy at your local grocery store. Not a lot of CBD in there. Very, very little.
Very little CBD.
Very little. Yeah, so, not hardly, but about the same as maybe there is in broccoli, right? But it's there because it's part of the plant. But it's not CBD. So, so hemp seed oil literally is just hemp seeds that are obviously cold pressed, and it's got omega-3s, omega-6s, fatty acids. It's a good thing, nutty flavor. It's certainly healthy for you.
But it's not the same thing.
Hell no. No. So we actually, in our product, use hemp seed oil as the carrier oil because, again, we keep it all within the plant. Oh, wow. Keep it simple. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Like I said, if hemp shakes we could ship around the world, in their natural state, we would. Just here, let's have a hemp salad, some nice balsamic vinaigrette. I mean, people do it. So, obviously when you use subcritical CO2 extraction, you can pull off the cannabinoids in their rawest, purest state with the most full spectrum with all the A's, the acidic precursors in there, and give yourself a product that has a 2-year shelf life that you can ship internationally. So that's the constraint where we are right now. And we're also live in California where there's some, confusion about hemp-derived CBD products in food and dietary supplements. But that hopefully will all get figured out here in the next couple months with the Assembly 228 bill that we're working on. So, but anyways, again, keep it raw, keep it simple. That's kind of our motto.
So you put the oil, the CBD oil, inside the carrier oil, which is going to be the hemp oil.
Hemp seed oil, huh?
Hemp seed oil. Now, is there a difference in how, concentration-wise?
Absolutely. So all of our products come in, right now we have 4 different concentrations. There is a 300 milligram, which we usually make for small pets, cats and dogs, because cats and dogs have the same endocannabinoid system that we do. They have one distinct advantage over us. They don't have the conscious mind to screw everything up. So when they feel better, they put a paw down and they put more weight on their on their foot if they're in pain or have arthritis. We have heard just 100% batting ratio with CBD in animals because when they feel better, they put more weight down. People use them for quality of life. They use it for cancer. They use it for pain. They use it for separation anxiety. They use it for sleep. We have a couple of labs, young labs that, they get some CBD before they go to bed so they can sleep through the night and we can sleep through the night. So we have a 300 milligram. We also have a 600 milligram, which is kind of our normal starting for, an adult. And if you do a half of a dropper, which is kind of our recommended starting dosage for someone who's got, a decent amount of pain or anxiety or sleep issue.
I'm sorry. I just need to, because I need to explain to me.
Okay. So 300, 600, 1,000, 2,000.
So 300, is that 300 milligrams of...
1 ounce bottle, yeah.
In a 1 ounce bottle.
Yep.
That's how many milligrams you get in a 1 ounce bottle. It's
correct.
300 milligrams.
That's the starting dose, usually for small animals.
Okay. All right. Okay, now I'm on.
Now 600 is kind of the starting 1 ounce bottle for humans. Because 10 milligrams is, you can start with 5 milligrams as an adult, but there's a chance that 5 milligrams isn't quite enough. Whether it's, especially if you have some severe pain that needs some healing and some agitated nerve ending repair and inflammation reduction. One of our concerns is, so someone comes to us and they buy an oil because someone else told them that it worked for them. And if they try too little and not enough, so 5 milligrams for a day or two, and they don't experience, some amazing transformation, they give up.
It's going to put them off, sure.
Exactly. So, however, 5 milligrams taken every day for a week or two, you're going to feel something. I mean, CBD just binds to our CB2 receptors, which are all over our body. And immediately they're like old friends and they shake hands and they're like, "What's up, bro?" And he's like, "My back is killing me." He's like, "Well, let me work on it. Let me give you a little massage." And immediately CBD will start to work on inflammation. And when there's less inflammation in the body can operate and heal and do what it does best. So that's 600.
That's 600. Then 1,000.
1,000 is a step up. So this is chronic pain, serious pain, back pain, had the pain for 5-10 years plus, serious anxiety, serious sleep issues. 1,000's also when we're getting into the big ones, right? These are the people that have serious health issues where we're talking about, the cancers, the Parkinson's, the Alzheimer's, the autism. the things where there is a massive, some serious complexity, neuropathy, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis. So these are the big ones that you need to throw a little more, at it to see if we can get the healing going, getting the brains and the neurotransmitters and the synapses to fire clean and lubricate and get them protected. And if there's agitation and inflammation in the body, to get that healed. And so people will step up their dose to that in those instances. And then we have the 2000. So the 2000 is, usually just the absolute biggest stuff. And
just chronic pain and just
huge chronic pain management, and then the other big ailments out there too. So, and because ours is raw, all CBD is not created equal. It's like the difference between Sunny D and freshly squeezed orange juice. They're both orange, but that's about all they have in common. And, when you pick an orange from a tree and you squeeze it into a glass, that's us. That's the raw CBD. If you go down the street and you buy something that is clear and it tastes good and all that kind of stuff, that's what's called CBD isolate, which is literally like powdered sugar, powdered Kool-Aid. And they used to show research out of Virginia Tech that showed that the receptors it would slide off the receptor, so we kind of made fun of it. And even, everybody at the Natural Foods West in Anaheim 2 weeks ago, the word's already out. CBD isolate, stay away.
So what is the isolate made from?
So the isolate starts with, some type of CBD derivative. So they can synthetically make it, just like out of a test tube, just like you would out of, pharmaceutical companies would. You can literally create that. And then again, our bodies are like, well, I kind of recognize that.
So the isolate doesn't bind. You're saying it slides right off?
Slides right off, yeah. So that's what the preliminary research was showing. Now the research is showing that the CBD isolate, the synthetic version, the Kool-Aid version of CBD is actually binding and blocking up the receptor. So it's a negative, is what we're seeing some research show. So
when you say blocking up, does that mean, what is it?
Just clogging it up, just like too much mucking it up, like it would with like a fake sugar or something like that. So it's just, because there's a bunch of cornstarch in it and emulsifiers and solvents, it's just junk. Natural. It's just like fake sugar. It's just not something that our body knows what to do with. Hopefully it just slides off the receptors and doesn't do damage. But if you take enough of it, there's starting to be some research where it kind of can actually be a net negative on the way your body operates. So people are getting that, at least in the health food industry, which is nice, because I was a little nervous about that based on my research. But now everyone knows full spectrum. And as we've talked a little bit about full spectrum, obviously there's a couple of different definitions for that. And we have a very, bigger understanding of what full spectrum means.
That's a trip, man. That's a trip. So I wanted to go over something we talked about the first time.
Okay.
And that's THC edibles. Mm-hmm. And how CBD can help you just come down off of that. Because I knew CBD would help you if you smoke too much.
Sure.
It's not just CBD, but what is it? Beta-caryophyllene.
Yeah.
But and people would ask me, well, would it help if I had too many edibles? I was like, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you it would, but just you still got to go slow and low with them.
Yep.
But you're telling me that if somebody eats too much, eats the whole brownie,
which happens quite often.
Oh yeah, especially if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
That CBD oil will actually help take down that high.
So CBD again will interrupt the way that THC communicates with the brain. So THC, the way it connects, CBD gets in, and it will get itself wedged. So in the brain, we have what's called the P450 receptor, right? And so that P450 receptor is one of many receptors that, when you get a pharmaceutical and it says don't take with grapefruit juice, that's the same receptor that we're talking about. So when CBD is introduced into the body, it can actually get itself lodged in between and interrupt communication between THC and the brain. So that is why, and I've personally done this myself. I mean, I speak from experience, that when you when you're on THC, whether it be an edible or whether it be something that you smoke, and you take CBD, certainly when you smoke, I can notice a difference, and I'm a total lightweight when it comes to THC. And I just did it just purely as a study. I would go up 5 minutes take one hit and be completely out of my mind.
Sure.
5 minutes, and I'm like, wow, take my CBD, the raw CBD 101, and then be down in 5 minutes. Take another hit, go up, way up, and then another hit of CBD, and then come way back down. So obviously the difference with CBD edibles is once that CBD's been delivered through the liver and through the digestion, then, it's a little more concrete.
Well, yeah, it's a little
you're
more
on a trip.
Yeah. And that's what I was curious about, because I know your liver's going to change. It's going to metabolize it. Yeah. It's going to turn it more into water, which is what the blood is. So the body's going to hang on to it a lot easier.
Yeah.
So I was always curious, would CBD oil...
Well, let's eat some right now on air and find out.
You buy, I'll fly.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I didn't know what to tell people.
Yeah, I would. It's certainly going to help on some level. I know people that
on some level, but it's not going to bring them down to sober.
Probably not all the way, just because it's already been introduced and it's fully a part of the bloodstream. But it certainly is going to help on some level and take the edge off, and especially even if you just think it's going to help. It's going to help a little.
Whole cyclosymatic.
Yeah,
it's going to work.
Give me some orange juice.
Come on, give me some orange. Yeah, right on. Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
So
certainly worth it, and and I've actually talked with some of the dispensary owners up here in Ojai and remind them that when somebody who looks like they're your grandma or grandpa and they come in looking for pain relief, just be mindful if you are going to suggest that they try something with THC, that if they have some, pure CBD oil, if they get a little too high or they eat a little too much brownie or what have you, that some CBD oil can help. Certainly help bring them down.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So the obvious difference, man, between you or your shop and a rec cannabis shop up here in Ojai, because I'm blessed enough to have 3 rec shops up here. Is there's just little jars of oil.
Yeah.
There's no flowers. There's no, paraphernalia or, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty boutique, man. I got to tell you.
Yeah. Well, again, we're into it purely for the medicine. I mean, we just sell medicine. We used to sell vapes. We used to sell brownies. We used to sell chocolates and all kinds of fun things. But at the end of the day, we got into, basically CBD got into us, into our family, and for pure medical benefits. And we experienced the benefits of CBD, and we researched the benefits of CBD, and our gift back is to, take what we've learned and what's helped us and give it to others. So people come to us with, mostly pain is the number one reason. And whether it's, everyday aches and pains or chronic pain, they come and they usually try our product called Alleviate X. And, we are tracking research. We have data. We are, tracking these numbers. And, you can see the testimonials and the video testimonials on our website and our YouTube channel for yourself. And after that, it's anxiety is probably number 2, which can really have a broad range from, the mid-20s and up. And then sleep's number 3. And then we have a product called Chill X, which works for both of those, anxiety and sleep. And then after that, it's all the big boys, that we talked about, those big boy elements. So if we are working on research and development on suppositories, that has an absorption rate of close to 99%. So when someone comes here, you're not going to have the smell, and you're not going to have the bongs, and you're not going to have the flowers and all that. People come here, it's more like, it's more like a doctor's office, or it's more like, a place where you're just coming to get some medicine. And that's what we sell here. We sell something that people use to help themselves. And basically you're coming in to buy something that is a natural plant, and you can find it in some of the foods that we eat every day, like broccoli and kale. And if you're lucky enough to have a place that will give you good CBD with lab tested results, hopefully you can experience some pain relief or anxiety relief or stress relief or better sleep by trying this this product.
Hey, so are you guys vertically integrated? I mean, do you guys grow the hemp and then process it? And...
We do everything. So we have some fields here in Ventura County. We do extraction ourselves. We do manufacturing, processing, from seed to shelf is what you call it. We can't do all of it. We don't. There's just We don't have enough to do all of it in-house yet, so we do have to, basically get some product, from other places, because there's only 12 acres, right? So, there's only so much we can have. But, and as we grow, there's a farm bill that passed in December, and the USDA, is coming out with laws for us to grow hemp here in California. And once that happens, we're never going to have to worry about not having enough hemp in California. Thousands and thousands of acres here in Ohio as well are just going to be growing left and right.
Do you guys have to submit to phase 3 testing the way cannabis does, the way the drug cannabis
Not yet. No, because they passed the farm bill, which basically, took hemp off, or CBD and hemp off of the schedule. Right. Yeah. And so when they did that, basically, now you can grow hemp with crop insurance. It's like corn, soybeans, strawberries. There is whatever they have to adhere to, we have to adhere to. And of course, we're going to have to adhere to a hell of a lot more than they do, because everyone's so confused about hemp and cannabis and marijuana. So, but yeah, they are writing the laws as we speak, that you'll have to submit, that 0.03, you'll have to go through that, but they haven't released the laws yet. You can't even submit for an application right now to grow hemp in California because they haven't released them. Supposedly it's going to happen in April. I won't hold my breath, but it'd be nice if it did. It's $900 for an application. There's going to be and that's per county, last I heard. So if you have multiple farms, you're going to have to do $900 per application. And if there's anything we can ever do here at 101 CBD to help, we're here to help. Get you in contact with some seeds or whatever kind of questions you have, because we know the power of this plant, this cannabis plant, this hemp plant. And if there's anything we can do to help anybody, come by and ask us a question or give us a call. We'd love to point you in the right direction, because more farmers farming hemp is going to help them. They're going to be able to have a true cash crop. It's good for the soil. It's good for the earth. It's good for the air. It's good in so many ways, and textiles and fibers and hemp seeds, and the list goes on and on. There's actually 50,000 uses of hemp. It's insane.
So let's talk about the farm bill. Let's talk a little bit more about the farm bill, because so as far as how it's written, I know regulations haven't gone through from what you just said.
Yeah.
But it's now considered a commodity, which means, like you said, CBD is no longer tied to the Controlled Substance Act.
Correct.
So it's taken out of that whole Schedule 1. Right? So it's like corn and soybean.
Yep.
So then the dream is eventually you'll be able to ship coast to coast without any kind of interference from...
We already do. We've got good lawyers and we know what we're doing. So we've been doing all 50 states based on the 2014 Farm Bill that opened up an avenue for us to do that. The 2018 Farm Bill just made it crystal clear that this is how it is. Some individual states are a little slow on the uptake, and usually what happens is they'll bust somebody or raid the shelves, and then all of a sudden, 10 days later, wouldn't you know, the state Senate writes laws that say it's completely good.
So then let's say 5 years from now, then.
Yeah.
You'll be able, like you said, maybe you're short on product. You can just get ordered product from Wisconsin and
sure.
Come through state, no big deal.
Yeah, every state's a little bit right now. There's a little touchy feely. I think Ohio had confiscated some truckers.
I read that they confiscated. I think 5,000 pounds or something.
Yeah, and they held the guys for bail and all this kind of stuff. So, and unfortunately, it's legal federally, but a lot of state and some city and counties just haven't figured out what's going on. There's a lot of confusion. So part of it, as you know, and it is just education and showing people and having podcasts and talking about it and getting good, accurate information that's been researched out to the masses.
Yeah, that's the big deal, is getting the good information, because like I said, man, there's a whole lot of stuff on the internet. Yeah. You can find a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, but you got to know, sometimes you don't know what's good and what's bad and what's right and what's wrong.
Well, it's mostly, you don't know which part is marketing.
Yeah.
At what point does the science end and the marketing? All of a sudden, you're reading a pitch. Wait, who paid for this study?
Exactly. Or you see the same verbiage said over and over again, and then you're like, the funny thing was, so we were in NOCO, and the investment bankers had showed up. This was the first time I'd ever seen investment bankers at a hemp conference. Right? They were there. No, they know. Everyone knows this is a big, huge industry. The CBD as well as THC, but the CBD is, it's center stage. Anyways, when you talk to them and you talk to them about some simple things about, like with us, the simplicity of raw CBD, their eyes just kind of go, I get it. I'm not hearing that everywhere. And I'm like, well, you will probably pretty soon. But regardless, the stuff that you need to, the way I look at it, you want full spectrum, you want lab test results. If you do those two things, and we obviously prefer raw and true full spectrum and organic, make sure you check your pesticides reports, then check your heavy metals. These are the things you can do.
That's a real important thing, because I've gone into smoke shops.
Yeah.
And, the guy behind the counter is telling me, hey, man, I got CBD, cartridges and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it says made in China. Yeah. And here's the thing we need to understand is that cannabis, hemp, they're bioaccumulators.
Yeah.
They're going to absorb everything that's in the ground.
Yeah.
Everything that falls on them is rain, whatever. They're going to take it up and put it out into the flower.
Yeah.
And shit's coming from China. They got a lot of heavy metals, once again, raining down on that. In the air, they're pulling it up. Yeah. They're pressing it into oil and then selling it overseas, even to themselves, And that's why I like to suggest to people that if you're going to buy CBD, buy it from a state that already has a legal program.
Yeah.
Because at least there's some sort of testing and regulation behind that.
Yeah. And we have our lab tests on our webpage, on our home, website. I assume others do as well. I don't spend a lot of time browsing other people's websites, but you should always be able to ask for lab results. If you're going into a store, they should have them up somewhere, just like you can see them. If you walk into our store, you'll see them sitting right in front of you, right next to the tinctures and whatnot. If you ask for lab test results from a company that you are interested in buying their product, and you don't get them within 24 hours, you probably should keep shopping somewhere else. You know what I mean? You should have it immediately. It'd be right up in front. Here's our lab test results. Because number one, you want to make sure that there's CBD in there. Because there's, you can go to some places online and all you're buying is hemp seed oil. I mean, that's what you're buying. Or who knows what's in there. So just do your homework, do your due diligence. That's the great thing about testimonials and reviews. That's the world we live in, man. I don't go to a new restaurant without looking at the reviews, right? And it's the same thing now with CBD and cannabis in general. If you've got to find a place that checks all the boxes, do they have lab test results? Do they have, good testimonials? Do you get a good feeling about them?
Let me ask you about what you think about CVS selling CBD oil. Okay, now here's the question. Here's really what I'm wondering is how are they handling education? Because it's one thing to have that display out in front, but then these older people are just going to be pelting that pharmacist with questions. Yeah. I mean, how knowledgeable is that pharmacist? And who's educating the doctors at the same time? Because a lot of the doctors are hesitant too. They're all like, fuck, it's all new.
Sure. So CVS, like within the last week or so, I mean, today's April 5th, 2019. So within the last week or so, CVS announced that they were going to carry CBS, and Walgreens just followed up. And so I went to our local one here in Ventura, and I didn't see it when I went in, but I heard that there's a display case up. I don't even know. Have you seen it officially on the shelf yet?
I've seen it. No, I've seen a display up.
Like a little, what is CBD?
Yeah, right.
That's what I've heard.
Right, yeah, a little pamphlet. I've seen that up.
Yeah.
But no product yet.
So, so my first thing is, I called the CVS headquarters in Rhode Island, and I was going to set up a meeting with their team, just kind of talk about what their mission is and see if we align or not. But I want to know what the product is and if it truly is full spectrum. Because trust me, I want to do my homework and see what they're using. If they have a good product in there that I feel comfortable with, that meets my standards, and my standards are just, look, is it full spectrum? Or is there no heavy metals? Is there no pesticides in it? Cool. Rock and roll. Thank God we've got a great product out there that people can go and get. If it's CBD isolate, if it's not full spectrum, if it's junk, if it doesn't have a traceability from seed to shelf, then I'll know and I'll be against it. And I'll number one, try to talk to CVS about it and help educate them. And if that means, whatever that means, I'm going to do my part, because I know the power of CBD. I've seen it in my own family. I've seen it every day in the people and our customers that come in and buy it from us. And if they're selling a good product, it is going to help people, and that's what I'm all about.
When I read that, I was all like, okay, so where's the education coming from? A little pamphlet? Threefold pamphlet?
I'll do my education as best I can. I mean, I'm going to go talk to them and yeah, I mean, I know that education is such a big thing with us. I mean, people come in with lots of questions and it's usually 10 to 15 minutes. Every person. And it's fine. And we cherish the opportunity. We love to answer questions and help people out because it is confusing. And the main thing is, if you can get past the confusion, you find the good company that you believe in and you try the product and it works. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Maybe you need a little kiosk, like 10 question kiosk.
Yeah.
Just start here.
I mean, trust me, we've definitely thought. I was talking about that. We're opening a store up in Denver and I was just like, and he had a similar thing where it's just, we come in, it's like the Apple store and you just got, your little iPads everywhere and here's your 10, most common, and we have some of that literature, but there's confusion and hopefully we talked about a lot of questions that will help clear up some things for people.
That's what I'm hoping.
And I hope we didn't put too many people to sleep. You know what I mean? But hey, for people that are passionate about cannabis, I'm sure they're still listening and like, yeah, man. And if it was educational, awesome. Keep spreading the good word.
All right, so you went up to Denver.
Yep.
So what's the latest and greatest, man? What's what's new out there?
Well, we're on our website 101cbd.org. We're posting some interviews that we did with some of the main attorneys and some of the major players, the Patrick Gogans of the world, the Joe Hickeys of the world. Joe Hickey was the one that worked with Woody Harrelson when they legalized cannabis and did the fight to the Supreme Court. He tells that story.
So, do you guys have the same issues with banking?
So
cannabis does?
We have less issues. We have some issues, but U.S. Bank recently came on board. They're kind of a little wishy-washy right now. But since CBD was taken off the schedule, someone is going to step up. They're projecting that CBD will be somewhere between $40 and $50 billion a year industry. In just America.
That seems small.
Yeah, but that's what they're projecting. And, numbers are numbers. So, sure. But someone's going to want to run those credit cards. Somebody's going to want to have those deposits. Yeah, so it'll happen. Again, it's education. There's going to be some more things fleshed out in the coming months to make things more clear about the legalities and just the straightforward nature that CBD and hemp just really are another agricultural product. And, there doesn't need to be all this hoopla. And another banking institute or whoever, they're going to step up. They're going to be like, yeah, we'll take it.
Somebody's got to, man. There's a whole bunch of money on the table, man.
And they'll do it for cannabis too. I mean, that it's going to happen just because someone's going to say, so the risk is this small and the reward is this big. Where do I sign? So I'm not worried about it. But NOCO was great. The energy, you might see in some of the interviews, I talked to some of the business owners, there's hemp socks and hemp shirts and hemp fibers and ropes and clothes and obviously tons of CBD oil and tons of farmers are there excited about growing the crop all over the country. Oh man, you should see. I went to a farm symposium out there and they're so excited, right? They could make money.
Well, this is what I was wondering too, though, is the fact that after the Farm Bill went through, you can now get crop insurance.
Because
before, everything was
wiped out. Yeah.
Before, if you had a crop failure,
you're just shit out of luck. Yeah. So they're not positive that because bureaucracies and whatnot. They're not positive that they're going to get all the rules written in time. I think California is going to get.
Well, what do you mean in time? What's the deadline?
They got to do everything in time for the season, because we're April. You know what I mean? And if they don't get all the rules and regulations in place, then the crop insurance. There's a rumor that I heard. It's probably true that crop insurance might not fully be in effect until next year. So don't quote me on it, but that's what my insiders are telling me. So. This would be, and what I would recommend to any farmer is that I would not, bet the ranch on your first grow of hemp.
Sure.
I would take a small percentage. If you're growing cabbage or corn or whatever it is that you're growing, find a small percentage, be it 5%, be it 10%, be it even 5 acres, be something small that you can test and try. Get your soil tested. Every soil's different. Understand the watering. There's experts out there, and we can point you to their directions and tell you our experiences as well. But just, don't dive in the first year, especially if you can't get crop insurance. But make sure, and the same thing goes with hemp seeds, that they're certified hemp seeds, that you do your homework, that these people have been around, and they're not fly-by-night companies, that they can speak to, yes, we've grown this product for at least 3 years and can show our lab results on our hemp seeds. And, get yourself some good hemp seeds, plant a couple acres, and give it a test run, get a taste for it. You're going to maybe make a few mistakes, maybe some caterpillars are coming later in the harvest. Figure out your way around that, and then next year you get your crop insurance. You got some experience under your belt, and then swing for the fences.
So don't monocrop this year.
No, just get some seeds in the ground. Even if you got to go like Johnny Appleseed and throw them everywhere, just get some seeds in the ground. Get some water on them. Those first 3 weeks is important, and then figure out a schedule for water. Every 3 or 4 days or whatever, depending upon where you live and whatnot. But hemp's a resilient plant. Cannabis is a resilient plant, and just give it some love. You check your pH levels and things like that. But, it's at the end of the day, where I grew up in the Midwest, where in farms everywhere, and we had what was called ditchweed, which is basically what hemp is, for better or worse. And it just grows.
So can you, I'm sure you can because you grow it, but how can you tell the difference when it's growing between a hemp plant and a cannabis plant?
So again, the biggest difference visually is the hemp plant. It looks more leafy, more like a weed, if you will, right? So it's not as many buds. There's not as many trichomes. It certainly doesn't have as many terpenes, as much smell. It's just more of a plant that is more leafy. You will see trichomes. It will. Resemble a kind of, it just looks kind of like it's always in its early stages, but it just keeps to grow. Whereas obviously with marijuana,
does it have a lot of that big nodal spaces between them, kind of like a bamboo, or?
It depends. There's different types. Some hemp, and I'd always recommend, topping, your hemp because you want it to go more vertical because you can obviously get more mass out of it that way. But if you let some varietals go, they'll just go like 20 feet like bamboo. Wow. But obviously you don't want them to go much higher than like 6-7 feet, and get them to go horizontal. So, but it looks like the hemp plant to me just looks like a marijuana plant that never went into flowering.
It's just vegging the whole time.
It just pretty much looks like
early
that.
veg. Yep. That's what it looks like. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I've never seen a hemp.
Yeah. Well, come on down. We'll show you some harvest is coming. As soon as we get these laws, hopefully later on this month, there's going to be hemp everywhere.
Let me know.
Yeah.
I'll show up.
We'll do a video.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's bring it all the way around, Justin.
Okay.
Okay, so people can order from your store.
Yep.
Anywhere in the country.
Anywhere in the country. Almost anywhere in the world. We ship all over the world, too. Wherever the countries are that they're into it. So, yeah.
All right, so...
But definitely all over the country.
All right. So now tell everybody how they can find you and how they can find your company.
So it's just www.101cbd.org is the website. Phone number, a good one, is just 805-642-5623. And then email address, the good one is just info@101cbd.org. You can Google us and find our addresses in Ventura County. We have an office in Ventura and one in Ojai. And all that.
You in any kind of social media?
Yeah, we got Twitter, 101CBD. We have Instagram, 101CBD, @101CBD. What else are we missing? Facebook. I mean, yeah, you'll find us. But usually just the website. We have lots of really cool blogs and lots of cool video testimonials and interviews of people in the industry. So we really try to educate as much as we can. There's a ton of information. We just wrote a big blog today about subcritical and supercritical extraction. Again, it's not for the light, you got to be into this stuff. You really want to get into the science. You really want to understand what's going on. We'll give you that information.
So if you want to geek out,
yes,
go ahead.
You want to dig deep.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about that I may have missed, brother?
No, I think we did it. I'm just happy if someo's still listening and we didn't put you to sleep. Man. But yeah, it's my passion, it's my life, it's my mission, and I can talk about it all day, as you can tell. And I want people to, if you're sitting on the fence about whether to try it or you've tried it and it didn't quite work for you, I would highly recommend that you try a product that meets those standards that we talked about. Is it full spectrum? I would recommend full spectrum having the raw cannabinoids in there, but let's just call it full spectrum as it's defined now, which is, at least 5 or 6 or 7 cannabinoids that are showing up on a lab test. Let's make sure that there's no pesticides in there. Let's make sure that the lab tests are showing the cannabinoids and the CBD profiles on there. And give it a go, because CBD is not tricking the brain like we're so used to these days. It is healing the brain. It is healing the body, and you need to give it time, 2 or 3 weeks, taking it on a consistent basis once or twice a day, and then have your judgment of how CBDs work for you. And I'm telling you, if you do those things, you're going to have a story to tell, and because we hear those stories every day.
All right, brother. All right. Don't go away, anybody. I'll be right back.
No. Yeah. Yes, man. Hey. Too many people are dying to get to the top.
All right, everybody, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. And I know we got a little basic with the whole information about CBD. And that's because I wanted to make sure that if there was anybody new to the conversation, that it wasn't that hard for them to follow along what we were talking about. And also because I'm going to keep talking about CBD, and I want to make sure that we're all kind of starting out at the same point. So when the conversation does go a little deeper, we don't have to backtrack and, help people catch up. And I want to thank Justin again for taking the time to talk to me. If you're interested in seeing his line of products, just go over to 101cbd.org. Well, brothers and sisters, guess what? That's the end of my notes. That's all I've got for you today. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, you can send an email to inmygrow@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram @inmygrow. And don't forget, if this show has entertained you, educated you, or even given you a little bit of escape from your day, go over to patreon.com/inmygrowshow and leave a donation. All amounts are welcome, and those donations just help me keep the show going. It helps me pay for different hosting fees, helps me pay for equipment. If you don't want to go to Patreon, you can go to inmygrow.com, click on the Support the Show tab, and you can buy a t-shirt. Or even easier, before you go shopping on Amazon, click on the Amazon link in the show notes of this episode, and that'll let them know that we sent you and we get a commission. Now, if you can't support the show financially, don't worry about it. I get it. Here's how you can help. Subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the website, and then tell 3 other people about the show. Really easy. Now, if you are a cannabis company that wants to advertise to our worldwide audience, once again, just send an email to inmygrow@gmail.com. All right, brothers and sisters, it is a beautiful spring day out here. I'm going to go play in the sun. Don't forget that I love you all very much. And remember to always grow, learn, and teach.
Just a little love that we need to keep us alright, to keep us together. Oh yeah, keep us together. Alright, keep us alright. Oh yeah, hey. Just a little love that we want. Just a little love that we need. Just a little love that we want. Just a little love that we need to keep us alright. Alright, to keep us together. To keep us together. To keep us together. Alright, to keep us together. Alright, keep us forever. Oh yeah, take it down together. Alright, to keep us together. Alright, just a little love that we want. Just a little love that we need. Just a little bit of love. Just a little love that we want. Keep us alright. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Roots Rock Reggae in the house tonight.